The Architect of Unbreakable Resolve, decoding Nietzsche's grim blueprint. There exists a certain gravity in the name Nietzsche, a resonance that hints at depths few dare to explore. We speak not of a cheerful philosopher, but of a stark anatomist of the human soul, a cartographer of existence who charted its most formidable landscapes. The title, Grim Nietzsche, is not a mere flourish. It is an invitation, an acknowledgement that the path to an indomitable mind, to an intellect that stands unyielding against the storms of life, is not paved with platitudes or easy comforts. It is a path that demands we confront the shadows, the grim realities of our own nature and the world we inhabit. We stand here not to offer solace in the form of illusion, but to illuminate the stark beauty of truth. True strength, the kind that endures, is not discovered in the avoidance of hardship. It is forged painstakingly in the very crucible of suffering and relentless self-confrontation. It is in these trials that the foundations of an unbreakable resolve are laid, not in the ephemeral comfort of what is easy or palatable. To seek strength by sidestepping pain is to build a fortress on sand. This journey into the heart of Nietzsche's thought, and indeed into the labyrinth of our own psyche, mirrors the profound explorations of Carl Jung. Jung's work, particularly his insights into the shadow self, teaches us that to achieve true psychological wholeness, we must embrace, not banish, the darker, often grim aspects of our being. This confrontation is not a descent into despair. It is the necessary, albeit challenging, ascent towards authentic selfhood. It is in acknowledging these hidden facets of ourselves that we begin to integrate, to become more complete, more resilient. Here we will not present a set of simple commandments. Instead, we will unveil 5 hidden laws. These are not rigid rules to be followed blindly, but fundamental principles, guiding lights for cultivating an intellect that remains sovereign, an intellect that refuses to bend to external pressures, that does not fragment under the weight of internal conflict, and that is not swayed by the comforting lies that often masquerade as truth. This is the blueprint for forging a mind that is truly indomitable, a mind capable of navigating the most profound existential challenges with clarity and unshakable inner strength. What is this grim blueprint, and how does it call to the deepest parts of your being? Law 1, the alchemy of adversity, transmuting suffering into will to power. Our instinct, deeply ingrained, is to recoil from pain. We shy away from the sharp edges of discomfort, seeking refuge in the soft embrace of the familiar. This pervasive human tendency to flee from what is difficult, to actively avoid suffering, is perhaps the most profound impediment to the cultivation of genuine strength. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of our own potential, a denial of the very forces that can shape us into something far greater. This avoidance creates a vulnerability, a chink in our armor that leaves us susceptible to external forces and internal fragmentation. Nietzsche, with his characteristic starkness, declared in asterisk, thus spoke Zarathustra, asterisk, what does not kill me makes me stronger. This is not a casual aphorism meant to gloss over hardship. It is a profound call to recognize that suffering, when met with courage and a certain fierce resolve, is not a destructive force, but the very raw material from which the asterisk will to power asterisk is forged. It is the fundamental, life-affirming drive to grow, to overcome obstacles, to assert one's unique being into existence, and to shape one's own destiny. Consider our modern world, often obsessed with comfort and the systematic avoidance of anything deemed negative. In this relentless pursuit of ease, we inadvertently weaken the individual spirit. We create a generation, perhaps, that is ill-equipped to face the inevitable adversities of life, a fertile ground for manipulation and the insidious creep of internal division. History, however, offers powerful counter-narratives. Think of the individuals who, having endured unimaginable suffering, loss, betrayal, profound physical or emotional anguish, transformed these torments not into despair, but into works of breathtaking creativity, groundbreaking intellectual leaps, or an unshakable inner fortitude that reshaped their worlds. Their lives stand as testaments to this first law. This law, therefore, is not a mandate for masochism. It is a psychological and existential imperative. It calls upon us to actively seek out and engage with challenges, not to court pain for its own sake, but to deliberately cultivate resilience. It is through learning to navigate, to confront, and ultimately to integrate difficult experiences that our inner strength is truly built. The grim aspect of this law lies in its unflinching honesty. This process is not easy. It is often deeply uncomfortable, and it demands a courage that many are hesitant to summon. The core of this law is a radical reorientation. Suffering is not an external enemy to be vanquished, but an internal catalyst to be harnessed. Like the ancient alchemists who sought to transmute the base metals of lead into the precious gold, the individual with an indomitable mind learns to transmute the often leaden weight of adversity into the golden energy of the asterisk will to power asterisk. How do you begin to see the leaden weight of your own past not as a burden, but as the very ore from which your future strength will be smelted? Law 2, the mirror of eternal recurrence, embracing the weight of choice. Imagine for a moment a solitude so profound it stretches into infinity. In this deepest of aloneness, a whisper emerges, a chilling thought experiment posed by Nietzsche in asterisk, the gay science asterisk. What if a demon were to steal after you one night in your loneliest loneliness and say to you, "This life as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more." This is the concept of the eternal recurrence, presented not as a scientific fact, but as a profound philosophical lens through which to view our existence. The true implication of this thought experiment, its grim yet liberating weight, lies in its demand. It forces us to confront the infinite significance of every single moment, every single choice we make. If you were to relive this life with all its joys and all its sorrows, its triumphs and its failures, exactly as it is, would you do so with a sense of dread or with a profound affirmation? The indomitable mind does not flinch from this possibility. Instead, it learns to embrace it, to affirm life in its entirety, to achieve what Nietzsche called asterisk, amor fati, asterisk, the love of one's fate. It is an active, joyful acceptance of all that has been, is, and will be. This law strikes at the heart of internal fragmentation. So often we resist true independence because we secretly wish to escape the consequences of our choices, to deny the totality of our lived experience. We compartmentalize our lives, wishing certain chapters had never been written. But the eternal recurrence dissolves these boundaries. It demands a radical integration of our past, our present, and our future into a coherent, unified whole. Psychologically, this thought experiment can illuminate the hidden mechanisms of our self-deception, the cognitive dissonance that arises when our actions do not align with our deepest values, and our innate desire to avoid the burden of responsibility. The practical application of this law is profound. It requires us to approach every decision, every action, with the gravest consideration, as if it were to be repeated infinitely. This is not about paralysis by analysis, but about cultivating an immense sense of personal responsibility. It fosters a deep appreciation for the present moment, for the unique and unrepeatable nature of each experience, even those that are difficult. It is in this conscious engagement with the potential eternity of our choices that we forge an unbreakable commitment to our own self-authored path, a path that is authentic and true to our deepest selves. The eternal recurrence then serves as the ultimate test of one's affirmation of life. It is the crucible in which the indomitable mind is proven. It learns to not only accept, but to joyfully embrace the echo of every delight and every agony. For within this unyielding embrace of existence, in the infinite repetition of what is, lies the most profound freedom and the most unshakable resolve. Can you begin to imagine Imagine living each moment as if it were to be etched into eternity, and finding not despair, but a fierce joy in that prospect. Law 3. The Master's Gaze. Discernment beyond herd morality. At the heart of Nietzsche's critical philosophy lies a profound dissection of what he termed herd morality. The grim truth he exposes is that much of what society collectively labels as good is not born from strength, but from a subtle expression of weakness, a pervasive resentment wielded by the many against the few who dare to transcend the norm. This morality, dictated by the collective, often serves to constrain the strong, to level the exceptional, and to perpetuate a comfortable mediocrity. An indomitable mind, therefore, must cultivate what can be understood as the Master's Gaze. This is not a gaze of arrogance or superiority, but one of profound discernment. It is the capacity for independent judgment, the ability to look upon societal values, conventions, and even deeply ingrained beliefs, and to question their origin and their true purpose. It is a liberation from the unconscious adherence to herd mentality, a refusal to passively internalize manipulative narratives that the collective often perpetuates. This gaze allows one to see beyond the surface-level pronouncements of morality. This law directly confronts the hidden resistance to genuine independence that festers within us. We feel the constant, often unspoken pressure to conform, to blend in, to adopt the prevailing opinions lest we be ostracized or deemed aberrant. This pressure can be amplified by unrecognized personal resentments, feelings of inadequacy or envy, which can then be projected outwards, disguised as moral outrage or a passionate concern for social justice. These disguised resentments drive collective judgment, stifling authentic self-expression and critical thought. We will explore here the psychological mechanisms at play, such as projection and scapegoating, that allow the herd to maintain its dominance. The practical cultivation of this law lies in a rigorous and often uncomfortable self-examination. It demands that we bravely question the origin and purpose of the societal norms we accept and the personal beliefs we hold dear. Where did these ideas come from? Do they truly serve our growth and our authentic self-authorship, or are they merely echoes of the collective will? It requires the courage to dissent, not for the sake of mere rebellion, but for the pursuit of truth and the unwavering commitment to our own unique path. It is a process of discerning one's own deeply held values from those that have been imposed by the collective consciousness. The Master's Gaze, therefore, is ultimately an act of profound clarity. It is the ability to see through the thick fog of collective opinion, to recognize the underlying drives and motivations that shape human behavior, both in others and within ourselves. By achieving this clarity, one liberates oneself from the invisible chains of unexamined conformity, paving the way for a truly indomitable and self-authored existence. How much of your current belief system is truly your own, and how much is inherited from the unexamined herd? Law 4. The will to power as self-creation. Architecting the Übermensch. We must redefine our understanding of the asterisk will to power asterisk. Too often, it is misconstrued as mere domination over others, a crude assertion of physical or social might. But Nietzsche's vision is far more profound and infinitely more grim in its demanding essence. It is, at its core, the relentless, often arduous drive for self-overcoming, for the radical act of self-creation. It is the internal sculptor, chipping away at the unformed marble of our being to reveal a form that is uniquely and powerfully our own. This internal drive finds its ultimate expression in Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, the overman. This is not a biological evolution, but an ideal of human potential, a being who has mastered the self, transcended the limitations of conventional morality, and courageously created their own values. The Übermensch represents the pinnacle of self-creation, a testament to what what humanity can become when it embraces its full potential, including its most challenging aspects. It is crucial to dispel the pervasive myth that self-mastery equates to the suppression of one's desires or instincts. This is a misunderstanding that leads to internal fragmentation and ultimately to a brittle, inauthentic self. True self-mastery, as envisioned by Nietzsche, is about integration and transformation. The grim reality of this process is that it necessitates confronting and integrating one's own shadow, those aspects of ourselves we deem unacceptable, our lower impulses, our hidden resentments. It means refusing to be defined or fragmented by these internal conflicts, nor allowing external manipulation to dictate our inner landscape. The practical application of this law is an active, deliberate engagement with life as a grand project of self-creation. It involves setting audacious personal goals that consistently push beyond our perceived limits, challenging our comfort zones and forcing growth. It demands a commitment to continuous learning and refinement, viewing every experience, every setback, every triumph as an opportunity for creative self-expression. This is the conscious architecting of one's own being, the deliberate shaping of character, intellect, and spirit. Ultimately, the indomitable mind is not something we are simply born with. It is something we forge. It is forged through the relentless, unwavering application of the will to power directed towards the sublime, often challenging project of self-creation. It is a constant striving, a perpetual becoming towards a higher, more authentic, and more powerful version of oneself, the nascent Mensch, emerging from the crucible of conscious existence. How will you begin to architect your own self today with the power that already resides within you? Law v. Amor Fati, the joyful affirmation of the unavoidable. We arrive at the culmination of these laws, a principle that weaves together the threads of suffering transmuted, choices affirmed, and values independently forged. This is Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. The grim truth it confronts us with is the undeniable reality that much of life, its circumstances, and its occurrences lies beyond our direct control. Yet within this arena of the unavoidable, our response, our attitude, our very being remains entirely within our power. This is the ultimate frontier of freedom. To truly practice Amor Fati is to move beyond mere acceptance or resignation. It is an active, joyous embrace of all that life presents. It means affirming not only the moments of sunshine and triumph, but also the periods of darkness and struggle. The joyous affirmation of the unavoidable is the highest expression of an indomitable will, a testament to a spirit that has learned to find meaning and strength, not in spite of life's difficulties, but because of them. It is a profound yes to existence in its entirety. This law directly confronts and dismantles the internal fragmentation that is so often born from resistance and regret. When we fight against what is, when we yearn for a different reality, we create a deep wellspring of internal conflict. This conflict makes us psychologically permeable, susceptible to external influences because a part of us is perpetually wishing things were otherwise. By learning to love what is, we dismantle this self-defeating internal battle. We recognize that fighting against the unchangeable is a primary source of powerlessness, and that true strength lies in embracing the present as it is with all its complexities. The practical exercise of Amor Fati is a conscious daily choice. It involves actively seeking to find value and meaning in every experience, particularly in those that are most challenging. Instead of lamenting setbacks as failures, we learn to reframe them as necessary, albeit difficult, steps on our unique journey. This conscious reorientation fosters profound psychological resilience. It cultivates an authentic personal power that is not dependent on external validation or favorable circumstances, but is rooted in the unshakable acceptance of one's own life narrative. Ultimately, amor fati asterisk represents the highest state of an indomitable mind. It is the profound capacity to look upon one's entire life with all its imperfections, its sorrows, its unexpected turns, and to declare, not with resignation, but with absolute, unadulterated joy, yes, this is my life. I will it again. I will it eternally. Can you begin to taste the liberation in such an unreserved embrace of your own destiny? The unyielding spirit, your forge awaits. We have journeyed together through the formidable, yet ultimately liberating landscapes of Nietzsche's thought. We have dared to confront the grim aspects of existence, not to wallow in despair, but to unearth the very foundations upon which an indomitable mind is forged. Through the crucible of adversity, the mirror of eternal recurrence, the clarity of the master's gaze, the drive of self-creation, and the joyous affirmation of amor fati we have uncovered 5 fundamental laws. These are not gentle suggestions, but profound principles that guide us toward true self-mastery, towards a radical independence that is not born of isolation, but of inner sovereignty. These laws are not for the faint of heart. They demand courage, honesty, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world. But it is precisely in this struggle, this rigorous engagement with the challenging realities of human existence, that authentic personal power is cultivated, just as Friedrich Nietzsche himself wrestled with the profound truths that shook the foundations of his time, and just as he navigated the constraints of societal expectations and his own internal battles, so too must we approach these concepts. They are not mere abstract ideas to be pondered in quiet contemplation, but powerful practical tools for transforming both our inner lives and our outward expressions. The path of the indomitable mind is not a destination, but a continuous process. It is a journey of perpetual self-overcoming, a relentless striving to transcend our limitations and to become more fully ourselves. It is an embrace of the totality of existence, the light and the shadow, the joy and the pain, recognizing that each is integral to the richness of life. It is the courage to create our own values in a world that often offers only the hollow echoes of convention, a world that can feel chaotic and unyielding. The forge, in essence, has always been yours. The raw materials, your experiences, your struggles, your very being have always been present. We have merely illuminated the principles, the hidden laws that guide the blacksmith's hand. The tools are now in your grasp. The question that remains, the ultimate challenge, is not whether you possess the capacity for an indomitable mind, but whether you possess the will to forge it. Will you step into the heat of your own becoming?